Hello, I'm speaking to you today from Los Angeles, and a number of our recent video blogs have been discussing what we could anticipate may or may not happen regarding the tax reform. Our best estimate right now is that no one truly knows, and the languaging of the global tax reform is now being discussed as tax cuts, and those tax cuts are now translating into principally corporate tax cuts from 35 to plus or minus 20%. Nobody knows quite where it's going to land up, but the big threshold debate for the next period of time is going to be what are the quote-unquote pay-fors, and this is where our 1031 exchange issues come into play. Candidly, we will be at the Jeremiah Long conference here in another 10 days, and I'm really hoping to pick up some very good market intel from the accounting and tax community. I think for today's purposes, it might be most helpful to discuss the context in which we find ourselves from a real estate perspective. Specifically, it is fairly astounding that having lived through multiple years of compressed cap rates, that in the last quarter, cap rates have actually compressed between 15 and 21 basis points. The strong indication is that subject to even an increase in the Fed rates, possibly in December, that these cap rates are going to stay relatively low, relatively longer. So from our perspective, that puts us on point to basically provide services for particularly for our buyers, but it's also informative for our sellers to be able to say, if you're going to be compelled to buy in this cap rate environment as it continues, then the mandate is really to buy the best of breed net lease properties. What allows us to perform competitively in the marketplace and in some respects outperform the market is that we work from an 80,000 property database. We have virtual assistant teams around the world who are constantly, on literally a daily basis, updating our inventory. So when a buyer comes to us, whether he's in a 1031 exchange or merely trying to make a good portfolio decision, we want to put them in the position of seeing every property in the country that actually matches up with their criteria. And this is what has allowed us to be effective in the marketplace. We also help them to firm up that criteria so that as we begin to explore what really makes sense for them, we've never been brokers who would quote a cap rate and start doing our own tax planning on the assumption that we would just quote a rate. I've joked in the past that when I was being trained almost 40 years ago back east, my mentors would jokingly say that I had to be something more than another guy in a dark suit. Well, what that translates into so many years later is that we put together a research organization. We've had the benefit of Real Capital Analytics and some of the very best research sources. We collect information from every brokerage house in the country, and we have good relationships after 40 years of being in the business. And part of what allows us to function effectively on behalf of our clients is that people actually trust us. So we're told on a regular basis that we handle our affairs differently than the next guy, and candidly I hope that's true, simply so that we can serve our interests, the interests of our clients more effectively. So when we make an offer, we craft a proposal in such a way that it is mindful of the seller's issues. Here at the end of the year, we had a whole series of deals that we knew we had to tailor make on behalf of buyers for 12/31 closings. And so that there were some opportunities here in the last couple of months. At this point, we've completed every transaction that's in process for a closing in calendar 2017. So we're now looking forward to 2018. Please do not hesitate to contact us. We are positioned in a way that very few brokerages in the country are positioned to actually respond to the market in the most acute way and to provide really good market intel so that you can make your best decisions. We'll be at the Jeremiah Long Conference in Scottsdale next week. That's on the 2nd and 3rd of November, and we hopefully will be in a position to give you a report afterwards to update whatever is going on in Washington. The real concern here is that there's going to be a desperate move to provide alternates or pay-fors, and I think, as the president likes to say, everything's on the table. So we will do our best to inform you accurately so you can make your best decisions. Do not hesitate to contact us. Thanks very much for your patience. Take care.